Good evening. I'm Spot On Weather meteorologist Matthew Euler, and welcome to my latest video. And I know it's been quite a while since I last posted a video here on the Spot On Weather YouTube channel. So I'm kind of going back a little bit in time here, back into my continuation of the monthly weather reviews. And I'm going to continue on that series with May of 2023 in review. This was a common theme throughout the month here on this 500 millibar upper level chart, this height anomaly chart. Really, the focus of the month of May was for a cooler regime and troughing to set up generally in this area, New England down to the mid Atlantic coast. And then we had upper level ridging and anomalously high heights up into Canada, specifically north central Canada and the parts of western Canada, and then another trough or lower than normal heights across California, generally further south along the west coast. So let's go ahead and get into the review of the month of May 2023. Starting off with an overview showing you the mean temperatures. This is from the PRISM Climatic Group in Oregon State University. Now we're looking at the comparison of the mean temperature, average temperature for the month of May 2023 here on the left. And this is compared to the 1991 to 2020 historical climatology, with blue colors indicating below normal temperatures, this lighter orange coloring indicating just slightly above normal temperatures for the month, and the bright oranges indicating much more above normal temperatures, more well above normal, for the month of May 2023. So you can see from this temperature anomaly map, we had above normal temperatures in the order of 5 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit above normal, stretching from the Pacific Northwest, Washington State, through northern Idaho, across to Montana, into northern Wyoming, across the Dakotas, into northern Minnesota. Meanwhile, we had much below normal temperatures on the order of 3 to 4 degrees Fahrenheit below normal along the mid-Atlantic coast, right on down into the Carolinas and even into coastal Georgia. Additionally, into the Ohio Valley area, as well as Pennsylvania and New York State. Now, if we look at the overall precipitation anomalies, courtesy of NOAA, here on the right for May of 2023, the brown shading indicating drier than normal conditions and the green shading indicating wetter than normal conditions. So as you can see from this chart, we had quite a stretch of below normal precipitation anomalies from eastern Nebraska, the Omaha area, extending towards Kansas City, St. Louis, Chicago, Peoria, right on up into Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, stretching its way eastward towards New England, specifically New Jersey, southeastern PA, as well as Virginia, and even drier than normal conditions further into the deep south across northern Mississippi and Arkansas. Additionally, we saw below normal precipitation anomalies across parts of the West Coast, specifically in coastal Washington, Oregon. Additionally, we saw drier than normal conditions across parts of the Four Corners region, including Utah as well as Wyoming. So wetter than normal conditions for the month of May 2023, we saw that in the panhandle of Texas, extending northward into eastern Colorado, western Nebraska. Not many here in the United States in May of 2023 saw wetter or above normal precipitation. Looking at the national U.S. weather highlights of May 2023, courtesy of NOAA, some of the major things that we saw across the United States as a whole in the month. Millions of people were placed under a heat advisory out in the Pacific Northwest as a heat wave brought record-breaking temperatures during middle part of May. Over in Hawaii, we saw improved rainfall and increased stream flow, which resulted in the removal of drought from the Big Island in May of 2023. Additionally, we saw less than 2 inches of rain that fell over parts of eastern Nebraska, generally from March 2023 through May 2023. So this was quite comparable to the dry conditions experienced in the spring of 1934 across eastern Nebraska during the Dust Bowl. So that goes back quite a ways. And then from late April to early May, we saw a spring snowmelt, which caused near record flooding in cities generally along the Mississippi River and parts of Wisconsin, Minnesota, and into Iowa. And then into Pennsylvania, we had parts of PA which had their driest May on record, resulting in the expansion of abnormal dryness from about 12% on May 2nd, all the way up to 99% on May 30th. And then finally, a coastal low brought rainfall up to 5 inches and over 50 mile per hour wind gusts to the Carolina coast in basically Memorial Day 2023, that period. The low also brought rainfall and thunderstorms to much of the southeastern U.S. as well. As a whole, the average U.S. temperature for May was 62.4 degrees Fahrenheit, which was running about 2.2 degrees Fahrenheit above average. And that ranked, basically the ranking was 11th warmest in the 129-year record. The U.S. precipitation average for May was 2.56 inches, which was about 0.35 inches below average. And that ranked in the driest third of the record. And then the average spring U.S. temperature overall, if we looked at March, April, and May, ending the end of May 2023, the average spring U.S. temperature was 51.5 degrees Fahrenheit, which was actually just 0.6 degrees Fahrenheit above average, ranking in the middle third of the record. So just some overall national highlights here for the month of May 2023 across the United States. Additionally, some other main key points for May of 2023 across the United States as a whole. Getting back to that record-breaking heat wave in the Pacific Northwest, millions of people were placed under heat advisories, where we saw this record-breaking hot temperatures in the Pacific Northwest in mid-May. Here were some of the daily records that were broken: 89 degrees Fahrenheit in Seattle and the 92 degrees Fahrenheit in Portland, which set daily records. And during the spring, there was less than 2 inches of rainfall. So when I talk about spring, I'm talking about March, April, and May time period, that 3-month period. There was less than 2 inches of rainfall that fell in eastern Nebraska. Again, that resulted in the driest conditions for that region since the 1934 Dust Bowl. In May, the average national temperature, kind of a repeat from the previous slide, but I'll re-emphasize it. The average national temperature for the U.S. in May was 62.4 degrees Fahrenheit, so slightly above normal by 2.2 degrees Fahrenheit, and that ranks as the 11th warmest in the 129-year record. And then precip for the contiguous U.S. was 2.56 inches, as I stated on the previous slide, which was about 0.35, 35/100ths of an inch below normal, ranking in the driest third of the historical record. So now let's take a look at some of the upper air charts here, 500 millibars, 18,000 feet above the surface. And I broke these down into about week intervals, about that time frame. Anytime you see purple coloring or green coloring, that indicates anomalously lower than normal heights associated with upper level troughs. When you see the orange coloring, especially the bright orange colors, that indicates anomalously higher than normal heights associated with ridges. So typically what you have associated with upper level ridges are drier periods of weather and much above normal temperatures, and with troughs you usually have more unsettled weather with precipitation and much below normal temperatures. So starting off here on the left, this is the May 1st, 2023 chart for 500 millibar heights, geopotential heights in decameters, and anomalies in meters. And in general, we had this deep anomalous upper level closed low over parts of southern Michigan to kick off May of 2023. And we saw this deep trough really set up from lower Michigan extending all the way down to the southeastern coast. And this resulted in some cooler than normal temperatures, and I'll show you that here in a moment. Meanwhile, to start the month of May, we had an anomalous upper level ridge extending from Utah northward to southeastern Idaho, western Montana, right on up into western portions of Canada. As we move forward now on the right, I'm showing you the chart of 500 millibars, the heights and height anomalies for 8 May 2023. We now have an upper level closed low or troughing that has moved just off the U.S. West Coast. And we do see this anomalously high height center across parts of just on the western portions of Hudson Bay and in central Canada. Anomalously high height center over Canada, over north central Canada on the 8th of May. And then we saw a little bit more of a flat zonal look from west to east, these height contours, these solid black lines, generally more zonal, more west to east upper level winds by the time we got to the 8th of May. And that deep trough that was situated over the Ohio Valley has now migrated to the northeast over the Canadian Maritimes by the 8th of May. Looking ahead now at the 15th of May 2023, what the chart looked like, and you can see now this upper level high height center, anomalously high heights indicated by this brown shading, extended from parts of central Canada extending northwestward towards the British Columbia area and Vancouver, far western portions of Canada. So we had some very high, higher than normal heights across that area. We had a little bit of weak troughing across the eastern U.S. at this point. We also had a much stronger closed upper level low across the Canadian Maritimes by the 15th of May. We look over here on the right, this shows you the 500 millibar heights and the anomalies for the 22nd of May 2023. Now we see a little bit of troughing off the Pacific Northwest coast by the 22nd of May, and then we see the ridging has the anomalously high heights in that ridge. The high height center has weakened somewhat by this point across west central Canada by the 22nd of May, and we do see slight troughing or weak troughing across the mid-Atlantic states by the 22nd. Now, looking at the 28th of May, 2023, we now see another higher than normal height center position over New England, stretching from eastern Michigan to New York State and towards Boston area. We do see higher than normal heights extending across parts of southeastern Canada by this point. And then beneath that upper level high, we see a closed upper level low or lower than normal heights across the southeastern U.S., specifically the Gulf Coast and the Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina, as well as along into Florida. Looking over here on the right, we see the 500 millibar geopotential heights and anomalies for the 31st of May to conclude the month in 2023. We now see a closed upper level low over Southern California, and then we also see that ridging continuing, that persistence of the upper level ridging to the north across parts of southeastern Canada, the eastern Canadian provinces, and then we also have lower than normal heights generally along the Gulf Coast up towards the mid-Atlantic by the 31st of May. Now let's take a look at the temperature anomalies for May 2023, starting with the 1st of May on the left. This is no shock here. We started the month of May 2023 across the Midwest on the order of 15 to 17 degrees Fahrenheit below normal across northern Illinois, Wisconsin, and Indiana. And then that 10 degree plus temperature anomalies extended all the way to the western portions of Virginia, including you in the Roanoke area. Those cooler than normal temperatures indicated by the blue coloring here extend all the way down to Florida, where the mean temperature was on the order of 5 to 8 degrees Fahrenheit below normal for you in Orlando, for example. Beneath that strong upper level ridge, it's no shock, we're seeing the much above normal temperatures across the western U.S. by the 1st of May 2023 on the order of 15 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit for a large swath above normal across the western U.S., Utah, Nevada, and then even there were some 20 to 23 degrees Fahrenheit above normal readings across parts of Idaho and western Montana by the 1st of May. We look over here on the right, we see now a cool down that's occurred by the 8th of May 2023, where the mean temperatures were on the order of 10 to 14 degrees Fahrenheit below normal across Oregon into Idaho. The places that were much above normal a week prior were now cooler than normal, as well as Northern California and Northern Nevada were cooler than normal on the 8th of May. And we did see a little bit of chunk of the warmer than normal temperatures extend now into the central U.S., including you in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, as well as St. Louis. In Kansas City, you were 17 degrees Fahrenheit above normal on the 8th of May. And then there were some above normal readings also across the upper Midwest, southern Minnesota, Wisconsin, spreading eastward towards northern Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. Moving ahead now, the temperature anomalies for the 15th of May 2023. We see the greatest warming or above normal temperatures extending across parts of much of Canada, from the central portions all the way extending west towards British Columbia, as well as Vancouver, working their way down the U.S. Interstate 5 area from Seattle down to Portland, where temperatures were 20 to 24 degrees Fahrenheit above normal on the 15th of May. And then we see a cooler than normal area now across northern Illinois, northern Iowa, into Nebraska, southeastern Wyoming, eastern Colorado, down into the Texas Panhandle, as well as parts of eastern New Mexico, where temperatures were on the order of 10 to 12 degrees Fahrenheit below normal. And then over here on the right, the 22nd of May temperature anomalies, we now see cooler than normal temperatures setting up across the southern U.S., specifically you in Texas, where your temperatures across central Texas were 10 to 12 degrees Fahrenheit below normal by the 22nd of May here on the right. And those cooler readings extended eastward along the Interstate 40 corridor, as well as Interstate 20. A little bit, the anomalies weren't as great across the mid-Atlantic, on the order of 2 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit below normal across parts of Virginia into North Carolina by the 22nd of May. But look where the warmest readings were again. They were located in the northern U.S., from Minnesota stretching westward, Interstate 94, Interstate 90, through the Dakotas, right on up towards Montana. Eastern Montana, you had temperature readings on the order of 13 to 16 to as much as 20 degrees Fahrenheit above normal for the 22nd of May of 2023. And those warmer than normal readings extended southwestward towards Idaho, northern Nevada, as well as California. Looking at the 28th of May, 2023 temperature anomalies, now you'll notice this purple shading, which indicates 20 degrees plus Fahrenheit below normal temperature anomalies across parts of coastal Georgia into South Carolina, a good portion of North Carolina, including you and Charlotte, up the coast a little bit towards southeastern Virginia. It was a much cooler than normal temperature regime across these areas for the 28th of May. And then we had another area cooler than normal readings that really sticks out across parts of the Texas Panhandle. Amarillo, you're sitting at 13 degrees to 13 degrees Fahrenheit below normal. And then much above normal readings across the Dakotas into northern Minnesota. And again, look at Canada, much above normal for Canada again. And then by the 31st of May, 2023, the end of the month, these were the temperature anomalies. Now we have a much cooler than normal regime setting up in association with that closed upper level low and increased cloudiness across parts of Southern California, including you in San Diego, working your way up the coast, Santa Barbara, Los Angeles, just south of the San Francisco Bay. In addition, we saw cooler than normal readings across the Mid-Atlantic and parts of the southeastern U.S. And then if you wanted the real warmth, you had to travel basically up towards the Midwest. Northern Illinois, 12 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. Lower Michigan, 15 to 18 degrees Fahrenheit above normal, as well as parts of Wisconsin, 15 to 19 degrees Fahrenheit above normal by 31 May, and then extending westward towards Minnesota. Minneapolis, 15 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. The Dakotas are running at this point 12 to 14 degrees Fahrenheit above normal, and then again Montana was running above normal. And one thing I want to mention about this temperature regime is an El Nino looking signature was developing, where we get cooler than normal readings and increased cloudiness and more southern storm track across parts of the southern U.S. from Southern California working their way towards the southeastern U.S. So this looks a lot more like an El Nino type pattern here at this point. Now let's take a look at the teleconnections. Let's start with the Arctic Oscillation in May of 2023, showing you this is 11 May. This is what it looked like, the teleconnections for the Arctic Oscillation. Generally showing a negative tendency to start the month of May for the AO, and then it worked its way towards positive territory there by the second week of May, and remained fairly positive there through just beyond the middle part of May for the AO. And then over here on the right, this is from the 25th of May towards the end of the month, and you'll notice how positive things were for the Arctic Oscillation. There was a forecast at this point in time for the Arctic Oscillation to turn negative in early June. The North Atlantic Oscillation in May of 2023, looking at the 11th of May here on the left once again. Wow, look at the tendency of the NAO with high latitude blocking generally to be in place across the North Atlantic, generally from just beyond mid-April 2023 all the way through about the second week, the end of the second week of May of 2023. A negative tendency to the NAO, the North Atlantic Oscillation initially, and there were signs at this point in the forecast beyond mid-May of going positive to the NAO. So let's see what happened over here on the right. This is the 25th of May 2023, and yes, in fact, the NAO did go sharply positive after mid-month, and it remained positive, and then the forecast was for the NAO to turn more negative into early June. Looking at the Pacific North American or PNA pattern for May of 2023, 11 May, this was what it looked like for the PNA. Generally showing a positive tendency of the PNA, dropping slightly negative there prior to the middle part of the month, and then going back positive again. So what does this mean? Whenever you see these little bars moving above into positive territory above the zero neutral line, that generally indicates we have upper level ridging across the western portions of the U.S. Whenever you see the tendency going negative, like you see here, that generally indicates troughing. Negative PNA is troughing across the western U.S. and ridging in the east. So let's take a look here. This is the 25th of May for the PNA, showing again a positive start to the PNA in the month of May 2023, going negative by the second week of May, coming back positive by the middle part of the month, and then dropping back negative again by the end of the month. Let's take a look at the Matt and Julian oscillation for May 2023. Over here on the left, I'm showing you May 11th of where this green line, the ensemble mean, or the average of all the ensemble model members, showing the MJO starting the month in phases generally 4 and 5, and then working their way very weakly into phase 6 and 7. And then the MJO finished the month over here on the right, generally rotating into the null phase, this small inner circle here from phase 7. And generally, by the end of the month, that favors really no impacts from the MJO in that case. Let's look at the sea surface temperature anomalies for May 2023. Up here in the upper left is from May 1st of 2023. And the big thing here, as you'll notice from the May 1st graphic here in the upper left to the May 31st graphic here in the bottom right, is El Nino continue its development, with expanding warmer than normal waters working their way westward, initially starting off by the beginning of May right here off the coast of South America. And by the end of the month, you start seeing the stripe of orange coloring working westward, indicating warmer than normal waters working their way towards the Central Pacific. One other feature you notice that's pretty significant here off the U.S. West Coast is this blue shading indicating below normal water temperatures in association with a negative Pacific decadal oscillation or negative PDO. And then you do see some warmer than normal waters here across the north central Pacific. They did eventually work their way towards the Pacific Northwest and off the west coast of Canada by the month's end. One of the other big things you'll notice here by the end of May here at the bottom right is a bluer shading now extending down the Labrador Current from just off the Canadian Maritimes, working that cooler than normal water working its way down the northeast coast of the U.S. as well as off the mid-Atlantic coast. So we had much below normal water temperatures from the mid-Atlantic coastal waters all the way up off New England to by the time we got to the end of May. Looking at the Nino 3.4 water temperature anomalies for May 2023, again, no shock here. The sea surface temperatures, this is the 1st of May here. Actually, no, this is May 5th here on the upper left. And on the bottom right here, I have May 26th. So you notice the trend in these water temperature anomalies working their way up into the positive territory, above normal here, water in the Nino 3.4 region. So the 5th of May, we're looking at a value of plus 0.27 degrees Celsius above normal for the 5th of May. And then by the end of May, we're now situated at plus 0.328 degrees Celsius above normal. So we saw a little bit of a peak here and then a slight drop off for cooling of the water in the Nino 3.4 region. But overall, El Nino was definitely in on its way in towards development. So in summary, for the month of May 2023, I'm going to now bring it a little bit closer to home, and home is being Hampton Roads, Virginia cities. Okay, so I like to start off with a national view and then bring it down closer to the localized area, localized scale. So May 2023 for the Hampton Roads, Virginia cities, what was it? It was a cooler and drier than normal month. The mean temperature finished below normal, and this is pretty significant, minus 3.4 degrees Fahrenheit below normal across Hampton Roads, Virginia cities. We had below normal precip, almost a half an inch below normal. This was the first below normal temperature month, by the way, in 5 months. So we had 5 consecutive months which we finished the mean temperature above normal. This was the first below normal temperature month in 5 months for Hampton Roads, Virginia cities. We did see an anomalously cooler than normal period set up from the 1st to the 4th to kick off the month of May 2023. We had daily high temps running 5 to 11 degrees Fahrenheit below normal. The temperatures did warm and rebound on the 7th and 8th of May, and again from the 11th to the 13th, where high temperatures started feeling more summer-like, climbing into the 80s. Now, one thing of note to end the month, the last 10 days of May of 2023, the high temperatures failed to reach 80 degrees from the 21st to the 31st, did not reach 80. That's impressive, considering the very strong solar angle and the much more increased daylight hours. The main chill did occur between the 25th and 28th of May. We saw daily high temperatures running 11 to 14 degrees Fahrenheit below normal for Hampton Roads, Virginia cities. So that's saying something, some double-digit anomalies below normal. And then after a recurrent upper ridge pattern across the mid-Atlantic from January through April 2023, where we saw that ridge just be dominant, the upper level pattern reversed, with the upper level ridge being replaced by a persistent upper trough. In this case where we had upper level ridging at higher than normal heights up into Canada, and beneath that higher than normal heights and ridging, we saw below normal heights across the mid-Atlantic. Now, due to cooler than normal temperatures, we didn't see as many thunderstorms. They were less frequent during the month of May 2023. We just had the missing thunderstorm ingredients, specifically the instability and the moisture were lacking. We just didn't have that very warm, humid temperatures or warm, humid conditions in place to promote thunderstorm development. Here's a look at Hampton Roads, specifically Virginia Beach, Virginia, May 2023 daily temperature departures. And I like to do these daily temperature departures and calculate them from the average temperatures each day, just to kind of get a picture of what the month looked like. You see a lot of negatives here, don't you? These are the dates here on the far left. There's dates over here as well. But you see a lot of negative signs in front of these numbers for departures from normal. So in fact, let's break this down now. The mean temperature departure for May 2023 for Virginia Beach was 3.4 degrees Fahrenheit below normal. The minimum temperature for the month was 44.7 degrees Fahrenheit on the 4th of May, while the max temperature was 86.1 degrees Fahrenheit on the 12th of May. The total precipitation for May of 2023 was 3.33 inches. That is a precipitation departure minus 0.45, so 45/100ths of an inch below normal. The max daily rainfall was 1.2 inches on the 17th of May. Overall, it was a chilly month with below normal temps. A 5-day stretch of below normal temps specifically occurred between the 24th and 28th of May. And here's the real good summary that really stands out. We had 20 days with below average high temperatures, while we only saw 10 days with above average high temperatures. We did have one of those days right at the average high temperature. So basically a ratio of 2 to 1 below normal to above normal days in the month of May 2023 for Virginia Beach, Virginia. For the low temperatures, we saw 22 days with below average low temperatures, while there were only 9 days with above average low temperatures. So that is saying something. All right, that wraps things up for this special video, the May 2023 weather review. Starting off nationally, I'm showing you the upper level charts, some of the weather highlights. Here was the temperature anomalies again, the mean temperature anomalies, courtesy of Prism Climate Group, and then the precipitation anomalies on the right. And then just some of the main highlights courtesy of NOAA, as well as additional highlights courtesy of NOAA. And then just going over some of the upper air patterns in weekly chunks, just generally showing what were the major features dominating the upper air pattern, and then the anomalies over the course of the month, as well as the teleconnections. Were they positive? Were they negative? Were they neutral? Mad-Julian oscillation, how much role did the Pacific have in affecting the weather here in the month of May 2023? And then the sea surface temperature anomalies, the big story, the developing El Nino. And that wraps it up, everybody. So until next time, everybody, take care and God bless. Hoping to have some more videos out soon. Again, take care and God bless everyone.